Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's live video session. If you guys can see me and hear me great, please type in USA. Let me be sure you can hear me and see me very well without any issues. We have a number of things to talk about, so please join in. We're going to be covering three major topics today, plus some live updates. Type USA, or you can drop the emoji of the US flag. And then I can be sure that Instagram and Facebook can all see me. Welcome again. If you guys can see me and hear me great, please type in USA, USA. I cannot see anybody typing, and yet I can see some people, some people watching. Instagram, can you see me? Okay. We're going to give it a couple seconds and then we can get started. I hope you're all doing great. It's a really snowy day in Virginia, Northern Virginia. A lot of crazy snow and a lot of crazy US immigration updates. We're going to be reviewing a new ICE block in the nation's capital, Washington, D.C. We will be reviewing the case a little bit, and then we'll move on to the, live updates, the new immigration freezes that affect particular nationalities, unfortunately. Okay, we're going to get started. All right, let's go into it. Let me share my screen. I have a copy of the decision I want us to review. So stick with me and bear with me. There's a new federal judge who has blocked ICE's activities in DC to a large extent. We'll be looking at to what extent what ICE is not supposed to do and what they can do, so that you will understand what's going on with ICE in terms of when can they arrest you, when can they not arrest you. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm trying to share my screen here now. Bear with me, please. And then I think this is what I'm looking for. No, not this. Okay, let's see if I can find. It's an 88-page judgment. It's not this. I'm sorry. Okay, guys, this week has been a crazy week for immigration. In fact, this entire year has been really crazy. Okay, my team said the decision is there, but I cannot pull it up on the screen. I'm not sure what's going on. What's going on with this? Let's see if it's this. Okay, maybe we can get started with the second item on the agenda, and then once they fix that issue, then we can get back to it. Okay, let's talk about the new update concerning work permits in the US. We're going to just explain what the update is and how it could affect you. Please feel free to ask your questions. And yes, if you can hear me well, please drop USA or the US flag in the comment section. I don't think I see anything, so I'm quite worried. Please drop if you can hear me very well, so that I know that you can hear me and see me good. Okay. TikTok. Okay. Well, there's been a lot of questions and I'll be answering them concerning whether the 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 new rule is going to apply to people who already have their work permits. Just stay tuned, and we're going to be discussing that. Okay, so let's get into it. This was yesterday. I'm sorry, USCIS announced that they are conducting screening and vetting of immigrants who are working in the US. As I mentioned, this year has been an unimaginably difficult year for immigrants around the US, both documented and undocumented. Because when there's anything, the Trump administration will jump on it and just really make us a good example. And someone was mentioning yesterday, and I found it to be an interesting comparison. The person said that, okay, so when an American, for instance, conducts mass shooting, they don't ban guns, they don't take any drastic measures. It's just prayers, and they go after that single person. But when one immigrant doesn't even do mass shooting, shoots a couple of people, and we're not undermining their lives in any way. But one immigrant does this, and the entire nation is in flames. This has just affected immigrants across all nationalities and all around, just all around. It's just affected because of one person's actions. But when an American does a mass shooting, it doesn't affect anybody. They don't ban anything. It's just, they just condemn it and give prayers and move on. So you guys see the unfair balance, or just this very unfair treatment. But as many Americans would already tell you, well, you're not entitled to anything in the US if you're an immigrant. So let's get into it now. USCIS, they have updated their policy manual. The policy manual contains a compendium of all their policies, how they should adjudicate, some they cite laws, how officers have to review cases. So we use this policy manual very, very regularly as a law firm. And because it's very helpful to know how an adjudicating officer will be looking at your case, through what lenses, what are their policies, and they update this manual regularly. So this manual has been updated, and what it does is that when President Biden came into power, he increased the validity period of work permits to 5 years because there was just so much backlog. People were just sometimes out of work. They are waiting for their work permits and they weren't getting them because USCIS has been backlogged since COVID. And they're still reeling from that backlog. They have not recovered from that backlog. And to add to it, there have been a lot of issues that just keeps increasing their backlog. I believe in April 2025, there was information that about 20,000 USCIS officers had been fired or laid off, some had left. And, there was a furlough. And then there was also a government shutdown that lasted, was it 6 weeks? All these things have just added to the impossible backlog. And now they're cutting down work permits from 5 years to 18 months, which is a year and a half. Okay. So the basis or the purpose for slashing the validity period of work permits for immigrants is so that the US government can continue to do what they call vetting and screening of aliens, meaning they'll do more background checks. They're going to be doing more digging. They're going to be looking at your background review, figuring out, do you qualify for a work permit or not? Do you even qualify to be here? Do you have anything in your history that stands out to them? Those are the things they do when they say they're going to be doing vetting and screening. So this short validity period to 18 months will result in frequent vetting. Okay, so if you have a 5-year period with their 1.5-year renewal period, then that means you're going to be undergoing about 3 vetting and screening, 3 thorough vettings and screening within a 5-year time frame, if my math is correct. So that's 1.5 years, 1.5 years, 1.5 years. That's about is that about 4.5 years and then some, right? So now instead of doing one vetting and screening and getting 5 years, you're going to be getting 3 full thorough vettings and screenings within the 5-year period. So that's what's going to be happening. Employment authorization documents or work permits that allow immigrants to work in the US are now going to be slashed to this time period. And they want to be able to ensure that those who want to work in the US, as the government is saying, they don't threaten public safety or promote harmful anti-American ideology. So things that seem to be against the US government, culture, or religion. So the point of all of this is, or what triggered this entire enhanced vetting or screening, is the shooting, the National Guard shooting that happened in DC the day before Thanksgiving. We've shared a lot of information on that. But for those of you who didn't know, two National Guard service members, they are the ones in charge of, nations, they guard the nation. They're called National Guards. There were 2 of them. They were near the White House, and an Afghan immigrant, he opened fire, shot the 2 of them. And, that led to one of the guard members who died. She lost her life. The other one, Wolf, is critically injured, and I believe he's still hospitalized. As of December 4th, there was one other document that I saw from USCIS that said that the other man, Wolf, has not lost his life yet. So it seems like he's still alive. But this has triggered an enhanced scrutiny and screening. And Director of USCIS, Joseph Edlow, said, look, based on this, we're going to be doing a lot of screening. Now, the maximum validity period for initial, so again, this affects both initial and renewal work permits, meaning if you're applying for a work permit for the first time, it applies to you so long as your application is pending as of December 5th, 2025, or you submit a work permit application from today. If you submit an application from today going on, or if your application is pending, your work permit, either initial or renewal, is pending with USCIS as of today, and you are in one of these 6 categories we're going to discuss, then your work permit will not be issued for 5 years. It will be valid for only a year and a half, 18 months. And so you have to make sure that usually at least 6 months before your work permit expires, you file a renewal to avoid having a gap or an unemployment gap, because a lot of employers are now on the alert. If you don't have a valid work permit, they are not going to allow you to continue working. Some employers are very laissez-faire. They are not going to be checking all the time. So long as you build some goodwill at the company, they know you, they just assume that, okay, yeah, he probably has a valid work permit, and they don't revisit the issue. But for many other people, you want to make sure that you are keeping tabs on when your work permit expires. You want to even put it as an alarm on your phone, on your calendar. 6 months, at least before your work permit expires, you are aware, and you can take immediate action so that you can continue to work uninterrupted in the United States. So the first category of people that this affects is immigrants who are admitted as refugees. Number 2, immigrants who have been granted asylum. So, this shooting has impacted asylees, to the greatest extent. People who have filed asylum applications and people who have been granted asylum, those are known as asylees. This has greatly affected them because this Afghan immigrant came in through the Biden parole program in 2021, and he was reportedly granted asylum in April 2025. I believe in April 2025 or somewhere this year in 2025 by the Trump administration. And so now they are thinking that the asylum processes are not very foolproof. The vetting and screening done is deficient. So they are going to the Trump administration is likely going to overhaul the entire background checks and asylum system in the United States. Okay, this has greatly affected because this person who did shoot was granted asylum. So they are wondering if this person has been granted asylum. And for some of you who know, once you are granted asylum in the United States, based on the fact that you either you suffered persecution or you have a fear of future persecution based on your race, religion, nationality, particular social group, the 5 grounds. Then after a year of having asylee status, you can apply for a green card and you can become a permanent resident of the United States. And then after 5 years, you can become a citizen. So first of all, you become an asylee, you become a green card holder, then you become a US citizen. So the Trump administration is now very worried that, okay, so who else has passed through this process without being vetted and properly fished out as a problem to the United States? Okay. The third group is immigrants who are granted withholding of deportation or removal. Some people have withholding of deportation. This is a relief that you typically apply for in immigration court. It's a deportation, but it's a deportation order, final removal order, but you usually cannot be deported to your home country for fear of being persecuted or harmed there. Okay, and usually those people, they can stay in the United States perpetually. They just continue to get work permits. They can work, but they don't get legal status. A lot of people are in this, some people are in this situation. They don't care that they don't have a green card, but they can just continue to work. So long as they have their work permit, they can buy their turkey, they can buy their non-alcoholic wine and mashed potatoes on Thanksgiving. They'll sit on their couch and watch TV. They don't need a green card for anything. Okay, so some people don't get withholding of, don't get asylum, they get withholding of removal. For example, if you don't apply for asylum within 1 year of entering the United States, you will be time barred. There are some exceptions, we won't go there, but typically people who have a valid asylum claim, but for example, don't meet the 1 year filing deadline, they can be granted withholding of removal, meaning they can just continue to renew their work permits for life. They can stay in the US, but now the Trump administration is saying, look, you have withholding of removal. We don't even want you here. We're going to deport you to a third country. So that's where third country deportations are coming in now. Now, the fourth group of people are immigrants with pending application for asylum or withholding of removal. If you have a pending asylum application, with USCIS, that means you filed a form I-589, then they are going to, cut your work permit to 18 months. You have a pending adjustment of status under INA 245. That's the adjustment of status. You're applying for a green card inside the US based on, it can be based on your family, it can be based on employment, just pretty much based on, it can be based on marriage. You are married to your US citizen, you're married to an immigrant. This immigrant can get a green card through an adjustment of status under INA section 245. The family-based petitions are under INA 245, your family member filing for you. This is all under INA 245. So that's what they mean. Okay. Now, the other group of people is immigrants with pending applications for suspension of deportation, cancellation of removal, or relief under the NACARA Act. Okay, so if you have any of these things pending, then you are going to have your work permit cut down to 18 months. So if you look at it very carefully, there's 6 categories. The first 3 categories under the 5-year to 18 months rule, it has to do with people who have been granted some type of protection. Then the last 3 has to do with people with certain pending applications. Okay, so that's what you should understand. And today is the day, if you have any work permit application pending, new, renewal, you are going to, based on the 6 categories we discussed, then you are going to get a short validity period for work permits. Now, how is USCIS going to do this vetting and screening? They're going to be doing identity verifications, who are you, your date of birth, your passports. Do you have any conflicting information? Some people have different dates of birth across certain documents. You want to be careful of that. You want to be careful of having any type of document that can make anybody question your identity. Okay. You want to make sure your documents, your biographic documents are consistent across all US federal agencies and all your documents. And there's likely going to be an increase in interagency database sharing. Some people come in, with a visa. When you're coming in with a visa, for instance, what information did you give at the embassy? Some people will give some information that they are married at the embassy. Once they get in, they forget. Sometimes 5 years later, or even 10 years later, they're applying for a marriage-based green card, and they forget that, they were married. How did you forget unless you lied? So they are going to be doing all these kinds of background checks to make sure that you're being screened and assessed. Okay. So background checks of your information. They are going to be doing biometrics. They are going to be using your biometrics. They are likely going to be using more fingerprints, facial images. We discussed the new DHS rule on biometric usage. I believe they are now going to even step on the gear and fast track this process. They're likely going to be doing fingerprint checks, just using the FBI master file to figure out what is the history of this person. Interagency background checks is very, very important. The State Department consular lookout and support system, the CLAS system. What do you have in terms of your visa applications with the embassy, visa fraud? Are there any prior refusal? Any inconsistencies with your name, with your date of birth, with your place of birth? I remember reviewing a document from USCIS that said that, it was an internal memo that was sent to USCIS offices, and they said that 2 things are essential to the identity of a person. And if there's any type of inconsistency, there's a fraud trigger. Place of birth, date of birth. Not even your name, guys, not even your name, because names change all the time. Place of birth, date of birth, because you are one person. You could not have been born in both Nigeria and Ghana at the same time, or in Lagos and Abuja at the same time, or in Accra and Kumasi at the same time. You gotta pick one. Your mom was just one person. So place of birth is really central to your identity. Date of birth is central to your identity. If there's any discrepancy, that's a fraud trigger. Those 2 things are very, very key. So they're going to be looking at all this Interpol information. They're going to be using, guys, social media to do the vetting and screening. Open source review. They'll be looking at your digital footprint. What are you posting? Are you supporting Hamas? Known terrorists. If you are commenting on known terrorist pages, that's a red flag. They'll just be scanning. And guys, because there's AI use now, they are going to be able to do a lot of these things very efficiently. They're going to be doing document forensics. Here, they'll be checking documents that you're bringing in from your home country. You guys, you remember a couple of weeks ago, we had the former immigration judge on this live show. He'll be coming next year. We're going to be having a show with him at least once a month for the entire year. So stay tuned. Make sure you're following AK Poku Law. Click that follow button. But we talked about the fact that some people think that, I can just go and get a police report or a hospital report from my country just to claim that I was beaten, and the US government will never know. DHS will never know. They are going to know because We've said this several times, and the judge told us also. They have people on the ground. The US government has US embassies in all these countries. They have local agents that they send out into the communities. They go to courthouses, guys, and I've seen this several times myself. USCIS can send their agents at the US Embassy, go to this high court in Accra, go to this high court in Ikeji or in Kenya, and check to see that this divorce decree was actually brought before the court. It's an original divorce decree, not somebody sitting in their home and having a divorce decree manufactured. They want to make sure it's on the system, and they can do these checks. And guys, they even go to birth and death records in some of these countries and go and see, have you changed your date of birth? We've worked on cases where USCIS went to birth and death records in some countries, Ghana, Nigeria, and then they said, birth and death records, your date of birth is 18 January 1960. Your documents, date of birth is 18 January 1965. This is a fraud trigger. And then your case begins to undergo serious, they forward it to the fraud unit, and you begin to get tortured. Several years, there's no movement because of some of these things. And so when we talk about increase in vetting and screening, these are some of the things they are going to be doing. The fraud detection. Now, increase in screening and vetting also, not only will there be that background check. Now, during the actual interview and case processing, your body language, what you're saying, how internally consistent your account of whatever has happened to you is. All these things are what they're going to be doing. Okay, so social media. Please, it doesn't mean don't post on social media. Don't like anything on social media. Just, you cannot go be liking posts that have to do with, people saying, kill the president or shoot somebody. Those are not posts you should be liking or posts you should be supporting. You just want to be careful. Just comport yourself with decorum, not only on social media, but also off social media. Now, the second categories of people whose work permits have been slashed is these 5 groups of people. And this change is is necessitated by the Big Beautiful Bill Act, HR1, which was signed into law on July 4th, 2025. Now, for these 5 groups of people, both initial, that's new work permits. That's the first time you're applying for a work permit. That's the initial application. And your renewal work permit application, it will be 1 year or the date of the authorized parole period or the duration of your TPS. And so whichever one is shorter. So you see, if your TPS, let me give an example. Let's see, I think Haiti is ending in February 2026. I think I looked this up for a client just yesterday. I think Haiti is, let me give you a practical example. For example, if you are from Haiti, okay, Haiti, they have TPS designation through February 3rd, 2026. Now, if you are Haitian and you apply for a work permit, you submit your work permit application or renewal today, then your work permit will be valid only for when it's approved until February 3rd, 2026. Because the duration of your TPS status is about 3 months and it's shorter than 1 year. So the maximum they can give to these 5 categories of people is just 1 year, or the duration of your TPS or your parole period, whichever one is shorter. So if your TPS is your parole is until maybe June. If it's less than 1 year, then your work permit will be until June 2026. Okay. Now this one affects immigrants paroled as refugees, immigrants granted TPS, immigrants granted parole. Then immigrants with pending TPS application, and immigrant spouses of entrepreneur parolees. For these 5 groups of people, if your work permit was pending or filed on or after July 22nd, 2025, then this validity period applies to your 764 that is pending. Okay. All right. Now, let me see if we have any questions. Well, I think we can take questions, but let me just mention that this does not impact people who already have their 5-year work permits. It does not impact the people who already have their 5-year work permits at all. It's not retroactive. It doesn't go back to affect them. If you already have been issued a 5-year work permit, then you are good to go, unless they release another type of memo saying, it's retroactive. But this applies moving forward to pending or cases filed after the designated dates that I mentioned. All right, now let's move on to the next discussion that we have I'll be taking your questions very soon. Please bear with me and we can discuss it and make sure that we're all okay. Okay, so the second discussion has to do with the I'm trying to share my screen so you guys can see what I see here. Okay, I think it's this document. We're going to be talking about the immigration freeze, and then we can understand who it impacts. Again, it's quite unfortunate that this is so sweeping and it just affects. I'm not sure why my screen is not sharing. I'm not sure why this is not sharing. Okay, well, let me take this off. Okay, I think this is sharing now. Let's get into it. So we shared this breaking news earlier on in the week. USCIS released this policy memorandum, and it does 2 main things. Well, let me break it into 3. Let's break it into 3. But if you look at the short title, hold and review of all pending asylum applications, that's the first thing. They're holding all asylum applications and hold and review of all USCIS benefits applications filed by immigrants from high-risk countries. It says aliens, but you guys know aliens, and even, the use of aliens is just not the best at all. It's sort of to dehumanize people, but why aliens? These are immigrants. They're not aliens. So we'll do our best not to use aliens. Even if you see that, we'll likely say immigrants, okay? Because it's more respectful to the immigrant community, more welcoming of them. Okay, now the purpose of this policy memo is a 3-fold memo. The first directive of this policy, I mentioned that it applies across all nationalities. The first directive given by USCIS as a result of this policy cuts across everybody who has an asylum application pending. Anybody who has an asylum application pending, that's the form I-589, they are going to let you undergo a comprehensive review. It doesn't matter where you're from, whether you're from Ghana, whether you're from Nigeria, whether you're from Japan, whether you're from Sweden, Albania, Afghanistan, it doesn't matter. So long as you have a form I-589 pending, there's going to be a hold on it so that there's going to be a comprehensive review. Then the second, 3 directives. The first one is for all nations. The second and the third is for specific nationalities. The second is USCIS is placing a hold on pending benefit requests for immigrants from countries who are listed in Presidential Proclamation 10949. The 19 countries of concern or high-risk countries. We'll take a look at the countries, and this one, it doesn't matter which year or date you entered. Everybody who's from one of the 19 high-risk countries, so long as you filed any benefit request, any application, work permit, your case will be on hold. Now look at the types of work permits. If you look at the footnote 4, it includes the green card application 485, Form I-90, even if you are renewing your green card, the Form 470, application to preserve residence for naturalization. It applies to removal of conditions. It applies to travel documents, parole documents. Okay, so long as you are from any of the 19 high-risk countries, then your case is put on hold. Let me remove this and let's take a look at the 19 high-risk countries. Let me see if I can share my screen. I probably have to, let me see. Yeah, I was trying to share it on, share the screen from Instagram, but it looks like because we're live on there, let me see if I can get another screen and we'll take a look at the 19 high-risk countries who have all their benefit applications frozen because of this immigration freeze. Okay, I found the 19 countries. Let's quickly review them together. The 19 high-risk countries are Afghanistan, Burma, Chad, Republic of Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Yemen, Burundi, Cuba, Laos, Sierra Leone, Togo, Turkmenistan, Venezuela. Okay, so those are the 19 high-risk countries. So long as you are from any of these countries, there is anything you filed with USCIS is frozen. They cannot issue a decision on it. It's on hold, and it's on hold indefinitely. We don't know when they're going to lift the hold. We'll get to that on page 3 or page 2. The USCIS director mentions when this hold can be lifted, but there's no definite date yet. Then the third directive by USCIS, they have to conduct a comprehensive review of approved benefit requests for immigrants from countries listed in, the PP 10949, the 19 countries, those who entered the US on or after January 20th, 2021, after President Biden became president, former President Biden. So if you're from any of the 19 countries and you entered the US after January 20th, 2021, you came in on an immigrant's visa, a green card, you came in on parole, whatever you have, any approved benefit request, they're going to do a review of that green card, citizenship, work permit, employment authorized, everything, travel document, whatever you have from, if you enter the country after this date and you're from any of the 19 countries, you're going to be subject to that comprehensive review. And we've already talked about what this review looks like. Your background check, your social media, who are you, your record, your immigration history, criminal issues. Are you who you say you are? Identity issues. They're going to review all of those things. Now, look at this. It says this memorandum mandates that all immigrants meeting these criteria, they are going to undergo a thorough review process, including a potential interview, and if necessary, a re-interview. So they are going to do a re-review, which could include an interview and possibly a re-interview. Re-review, interview, re-interview. I mean, they are really, it seems like they are really going to be fully reviewing and thoroughly assessing people's backgrounds and digging. And they want to just make sure that, national security, public safety threat. Now, if you look at footnote 6, under the interview, footnote 6 talks about the fact that interview for this population shall not be waived under any circumstance. For benefit requests where an interview is not required, the case review and evaluation will determine if the immigrant, or what they say, the alien needs to appear at a USCIS office. So if you are from one of the 19 high-risk countries, they are no longer going to waive your interview, green card interview. You are going to come in. Removal of conditions, when they are waiving it for other people from these 19 countries have to go in to a USCIS field office for their interview. In cases where interview is not required, for example, I-90, they are going to do a review nonetheless. If you're renewing, for example, your green card, and then they'll evaluate, if you need to appear at a USCIS office or not, okay? So that's the 3 directives. First one, hold on all asylum cases are cut across all nationalities. Second, there's a hold on pending benefit requests from people who are from 19 countries of concern. And third, a comprehensive re-review of approved cases for the 19 citizens of 19 countries who came in after January 20th, 2021. Now, this guidance, okay, yeah, it aligns. Now look at this. They gave the background and talked about the fact that an Afghan national, Nasir Ahmad Tawhidi, he planned the terrorist attack in the US on Election Day 2024. He pled guilty in federal court to conspiring and attempting to provide material support and resources to the Islamic State of Iraq and El-Sham, ISIS. Okay. In another instance, an Afghan national, that's the Ramanullah Lakanwal. He's the one who's suspected of planning and executing a terrorist attack in Washington, D.C. against 2 National Guard members, one who was killed and another who remains critically injured. I was telling some attorneys that immigrants, in fact, I had even warned them. I'm like, when this shooting happened a day before Thanksgiving, I'm like, what was this immigrant thinking? Why? Because when you do some of these things, it puts everybody at risk. And I told, a network of attorneys, I told them that, look, guys, we have to pray that none of these National Guard members die. If even one of them dies, Trump is going to lose it. They are going to go crazy, and they are going to give us back to back to back to back punishments. Like the entire immigrant community is going to have to suffer for this. And when the lady died, I was like, oh my God, we're in trouble. And I mean, President Trump just lost this. He lost it. His people lost it. And they just, because it's like they're just waiting for something to happen, and then they'll pin it all on the immigrant community. It's like, yeah, you're already looking to blame someone, a group of people. So you guys we have to pray. We have to pray that this second guard member doesn't die, because if this second guard member dies, we're in big trouble. I mean, they are really going to lose it. So, I mean, it's in my prayers. I just really hope that the second man does not die and he's kept alive. But this has triggered a series of policy updates, all targeted at immigrants. Is it fair that one immigrant's actions, everybody has to suffer for it? No, but that's what's happening. So please, if you're an immigrant, just be careful of what you do. It affects everybody. So I've said this over and over again. Now look, USCIS says that they want to ensure that all immigrants from high-risk countries of concern that enter the US, they don't pose a threat to national security. And so they're going to be addressing, there's going to be a comprehensive review of all policies, procedures, and guidance. USCIS has determined they must implement the hold, based on this. Okay, now let's move on here. There's a lot more here. And when you come down here, it talks about the fact that, they mention also that this pause is going to be in effect until the USCIS director lifts it through a subsequent memorandum. And, so the guidance is that USCIS has determined the operational necessity to ensure that all asylum applications and immigrants from high-risk countries, so long as they enter the US, they don't pose a threat to national security. So they're going to be doing a case-by-case thorough review to assess their eligibility, and they'll be looking at whether you are, and you see, these 4 things is not exhaustive. They'll be looking at many other things, but including these 4 things, whether you are listed in a terrorist screening data set, whether you are a known or suspected terrorist, and if you've been categorized as under tier 1 or tier 2 or tier 3 or tier 4, whether you are connected to or you are involved with any association which is described in law, anybody that poses a threat to national security. These are the people. If you are unable to identify or establish your identity, that's another major issue. If you are linked with any community that also poses a threat or harm to the US, including criminal conduct, then they're going to be looking at all these things on a case-by-case basis. They pick your name, they review. They pick your name, they review. USCIS has said that, look, all of these things is going to lead to backlogs. It's going to lead to delays across the board. Even people who should not be affected are going to be affected because they're going to be spending time and resources to do all this thorough vetting and background checks. You see, ultimately, USCIS has determined the burden of processing delays will fall on applicants, but it's necessary for to preserve national security. So within 90 days, they're going to be prioritizing a list for review, interview, re-interview, and they're going to be prioritizing a list of cases that are going to be referring to ICE and other law enforcement agencies as appropriate. All right, so there you go. Please, if you have any of these things pending, you want to make sure that you have an attorney who knows your case, understands it, just in case of an emergency, they can jump in, even just for a second opinion, just to see, is there anything you can do proactively? Please do not wait until you are under the radar or, you have some type of issue before you try to resolve it. Sometimes being proactive will be very helpful to you. Okay, now let's move on to the third thing for discussion. ICE has just collected a block. There's some questions, I'll respond to them. Don't worry, drop all your questions. We'll be responding to them soon. I just want to discuss this with you. I just phased, let me see here. There you go. I hope the screen is showing. I don't know why the screen, let's see here. ICE, a federal court in DC has blocked ICE from carrying out warrantless civil immigration arrests in the state of, I'm sorry, DC is not a state, in the nation's capital, in DC. DC is not a state, but yeah, sometimes, okay. I'm not sure why. Let me see here, guys, hold on. I'm trying to share my screen. My PDF is not, I don't know why it's not opening up. I really wanted to show you the decision. The decision is so sweet, so delicious. It's a kind of, judicial decision you are reading. And as you are reading it, you just pause and then you do a good dance because the judgment is so sound. And then you come back after dancing and you continue reading with a big smile on your face. Amazing decision. Let me see. I don't know why you guys can see it. I highlighted certain portions that I wanted to share with you. I'm not sure why I'm struggling to share this. Let's try again because it's very important that you see it for yourselves. Oh, there you go. There you go. I've seen it. Good. There you go. Okay. So this was in the U.S. District Court for DC, and the judge was Judge Beryl Howell. The case is Escobar versus U.S. Department of Homeland Security. Now look at this. She mentions that, you know what the judge said when she, look at this, her opinion. She said, this case, I don't want to bore all of you, but I think I have to start reading. Okay. She talked about the fact that the current president, he keeps saying that this city, which is DC, will no longer be a sanctuary for illegal or alien criminals. And in the midst of public announcements by other federal officials that criminal aliens are a public safety threat and there should be no place for sanctuary policies that place crime over the community. Now, what the judge said is that such repeated conjoined use by high-ranking officials of the words criminal and alien prompts the need for clarification of two fundamental facts in reviewing the two pending motions brought by individual immigrants and an immigrant-focused organization. First, guys, listen up. First, as a general rule, it is not a crime for a removable alien to remain present in the United States. Look at the case law the judge cited, Arizona versus United States, and several other cases. As a legal matter, an immigration status violation is a civil violation. It is not a criminal violation. I'm reading it, you guys can see it. This was filed in DC District Court. An immigration violation can never be a criminal violation. And so the narrative of this government saying criminal aliens, it's just very unfair because it just pits many immigrants as criminal and they're aliens. It just brings a lot of bad feeling and bad will towards immigrants, and that's not the way to go at all. Okay, let me continue here. It's a civil violation, okay? This has been made clear in several courts, indicating that immigration arrests are a civil sanction, not a criminal penalty. And so if you view immigrants potentially subject to removal as criminal, it is as a legal matter plain wrong. Now, she goes on to say that immigration policy is indisputably important and it can affect trade, investment, tourism, diplomatic relations for the entire nations, as well as the perceptions and exceptions of immigrants in this country who seek the full protection of its laws. She goes on to say that treating all immigrants potentially subject to removal as if they were criminals highlights the Supreme Court's wise caution that perceived mistreatment of aliens in the United States may lead to harmful reciprocal treatment of American citizens abroad. You do me, I do you. If you treat immigrants as criminal aliens, then other countries could also do the same to your citizens who are abroad. So we have to tread very carefully. Now look at this. What the judge did pretty much was to block DHS or ICE from conducting warrantless civil immigration arrests within DC. ICE does not have the power to arrest anybody based on the fact that they are here unlawfully. If you find somebody who is here unlawfully, unlawful presence, you cannot just arrest them without a warrant. It is blocked. This has been blocked by the judge. You cannot conduct warrantless civil immigration arrests within DC. In order for ICE to do this, they have to establish two things. ICE has to establish probable cause and a likelihood of escape. These two requirements must be present for ICE to say that, oh, yes, I have to arrest this person because, even though I don't have a warrant. If ICE does not have a warrant, they cannot arrest without these two things being present. So you see, the judge was like, plaintiffs are not challenging the authority of federal law enforcement to make criminal arrests, either with a warrant or without a warrant. For suspected criminal conduct, whether that suspected criminal conduct is engaged. Okay, now, yeah, let's go to plaintiffs are only challenging the way the warrantless civil immigration arrests are seemingly being carried out in the district under an allegedly new immigration policy that plaintiffs claim fails to meet the requirements. So ICE has to have probable cause to believe that a non-citizen or an immigrant is in the US unlawfully. And number two, they have to be able to have probable cause that they are likely to escape before a warrant may be obtained. For the reasons discussed below, plaintiff's motion to block or enjoin preliminary defendants from continuing any policy of conducting warrantless civil arrests, civil immigration arrests in DC without making individualized probable cause determination as to each arrestee's risk of escape as required by law is granted. They cannot, ICE or DHS, they are preliminarily blocked or enjoined from enforcing their policy of conducting warrantless civil immigration arrests without probable cause to believe that the arrestee is likely to escape before an administrative warrant can be obtained. All right. Now, you know, the Trump administration, they have indeed instituted a new arrest first, ask questions later. Arrest everybody, then we go and ask them questions later. But this is not the way to go. For the last 15 years, the procedure with ICE has been that, and again, you guys know, ICE is a component of DHS. We have DHS, Department of Homeland Security, we have ICE and DIET, Immigration Customs Enforcement, we have USCIS, we have CBP, you know. ICE would, if ICE is trying to arrest someone, or they identify and arrest targets, like, oh, this person needs to be arrested. What they need to do, first of all, is that they will list the person's appearance. What is their home? What work do they do? They will catalog their criminal history. And then they'll have to gain supervisor approval before making an immigration arrest. They'll fill out a form. But now they have a new thing that, has given them the go-ahead to arrest first and ask questions later, and this violates law. Okay, so the judge said, nope, you cannot do that. ICE themselves have confirmed that they are using reasonable suspicion to make arrests, which is illegal. ICE has to, ICE was quoted on one of their websites. They went and challenged, they're like, oh, we're using reasonable suspicion to make arrests. But they should know that if you're trying to make arrests, the requisite legal standard is probable cause. Reasonable suspicion is lower than probable cause because you're trying to deprive somebody of their freedom. So you cannot use reasonable suspicion. You have to use probable cause to arrest someone. You can stop someone based on reasonable suspicion, but not arrest them based on reasonable suspicion. It has to be based on probable cause. You see? All right, guys, so let me stop here and then we can start. Let me pick some questions. Please drop your questions. Let's answer some questions before we call it a day. Okay, let's see here. Abeku Odu Michael says, could one with issue with IRS with agreed payment ongoing still file for naturalization? Yes, we've been able to win naturalization for many such clients who owe the IRS some money, but you have to proceed very carefully. Please contact us and let's guide you. Because you see, one of the questions on the form N400 is that you owe state, federal, any county taxes. And there's a way you have to respond and prove what's going on. But yes, you can certainly file for naturalization, but you have to do things properly. Make sure you contact us so we can assist you with that process and you don't jeopardize your own case. Okay, Rini, please contact us with that question. Sam Tobia Cargo on Facebook says, is the screening based on documents or what? It's based on documents. It's based on your own actions, your immigration history, your records, your just things about you, where you work, investigation, just background screening, your social media, whatever they can find on you. Yes, documents from the US Embassy abroad. It can be even with USCIS. It can be from anywhere. So yeah, they'll be doing the screening across documents. Are you submitting fake documents? Can they guarantee the authenticity of some of the documents that you have submitted? And Sam again says, is the screening affecting, very good question, is it affecting people who already have green cards from countries of concern? Yes. You remember I told you ICE has issued 3 directives, okay? The first directive affects people from all countries. Asylum is on hold for all countries. The second directive affects any type of pending application filed by people from 19 countries of concern. Green card applications, work permit applications. For number 2 directive, it's for pending. These documents have not been issued. But the third directive, there's going to be a re-review of green cards from people from all these 19 countries, citizenship, whatever. Any approved benefit request from any of the people from 19 countries who entered into the US after January 20th, 2021. So for example, if you are from Togo and you entered the US with an immigrant visa February 20th, 2022 or February 1st, 2021, you've been issued a green card, there's going to be a re-review of your green card and immigrant visa. If you are from Togo, you have a green card, you've had your green card, you entered the US in 2010, this re-review process will not affect you. First of all, the re-review process affects all approved benefit requests. Number 2, it affects all approved benefit requests from the 19 countries of concern. Number 3, it further narrows down all the approved benefits that people should have entered the US on or after January 20th, 2021. And so if you have an approved benefit request, you are from any of the 19 countries, you enter the US before January 20th, 2021, your document will not be re-reviewed. Okay, I hope that clarifies it. And then let's see here. What's going on with the visa lottery? We're still waiting with all these new things. Let's see how that goes. We're waiting on the Department of State to see what happens with the diversity visa lottery DV 2027. The last update was on November 5th, 2025. We shared videos and posts on what the Department of State said. They said they're going to be announcing the date soon. But this was obviously before the shooting by this Afghan immigrant. And there's also, there's a new bill to freeze immigration, to freeze immigration by a Senate. Is there a senator? I'm sorry, a Republican. I'm sorry, there's a Republican to freeze immigration, and he even mentioned that he wants them to cancel the diversity visa lottery, but it has not been canceled. Things should go on as planned. Let me share this with you guys. Things should go on as planned. We're waiting for the U.S. Department of State to announce or to give us the update on when the diversity visa lottery program will registration will open. We don't know yet. We'll wait to see how everything goes. Okay, there you go. This is what we shared. Texas Congressman Chip Roy, he's introduced the Pause Act, where he wants them to freeze all immigration to the U.S. apart from B2 visas or tourist visas. Now look at what he suggested that they do. One of the things is he wants to end chain migration and the diversity visa lottery program. Okay, but again, this is just a bill. It's just a bill. It has not yet been. It has not. It has not yet been. It's not. It's not a law. It has to go through, voting process, both the House, the Senate, and then it will be signed into law by the president. So diversity visa lottery, we don't have any updates yet, but there are some few calls to ban, stop the program. So we'll see how things go. But as of today, we're still hoping that they'll announce the registration soon. They might announce it with just additional screening and vetting. We don't know what they're going to do. Let's wait and see how that plays out. Theo Baidu 557 on YouTube, 5574 on YouTube said, I have 2-year green card and she filed for divorce. Okay, contact us. We'll be able to help you. We'll need to do a removal of conditions application, either based on divorce or based on, battery, or, if there's been any abuse there, extreme cruelty. We'll figure that out and let you know. But you can get your 10-year green card without hair so long as you qualify. Please contact us and we'll do that assessment with you and help you. Okay, don't wait until your green card, you are sent to removal immigration court, because if you don't file it and your 2-year green card ends, you could be sent to immigration court, and that becomes a problem. Please contact us immediately to avoid doing that. We should be able to show that, show a few things. We'll do the removal of conditions and assist you with that process. Removal of conditions can be based on joint removal of conditions or a waiver removal of conditions. Joint removal of conditions means that your spouse will be petitioning for you to remove your conditions. She's signing along 90 days before your green card expires. If you are doing a waiver, it means your spouse said they will not help you, and you can file a waiver of the joint application either before your green card expires or after, any time before you are sent to removal proceedings or sent into immigration court. No, it's not the I-90. You please contact us and make sure, because you don't do a renewal of a green card when you are doing a removal of conditions. You do a removal of conditions, and this is one of the mistakes people make. The case gets denied and they are sent to immigration court, and the money you are trying to save when you get into immigration court, you are going to spend 20 times more, and a lot of stress accompanied with a lot of headaches and issues. So make sure you get the proper help. This is one of the things that sends people into problems. Let's see if we have any questions on Instagram. Let me see if I have any questions on Instagram and TikTok and LinkedIn. Guys, bear with me. Let me see. I'm trying to read, see if I can pull up any questions that we have now. Okay. I'm not able to scroll up. Please ask your questions on Instagram and let's see if we can answer them while we're here. Please post your questions on Instagram. And let me see. Okay. Okay, now I was trying to see if I could read the questions on Instagram, but the way the StreamYard, I'm not seeing the questions on here. Okay, well, let me check TikTok. Mahesh Kumaru on TikTok says, is 18 months EAD is also applicable to already 5 years EAD also? No, it should not be retroactive. Usually moving forward, I gave you the applicable date, December 5th, 2025. If you have a pending application or you file on that date from today, you get an 18-month green card for some 6 categories. And the TPS, parolees, they get the 1-year maximum or shorter duration if they have work permits pending on, is it July 4th? I don't remember the date. I think we mentioned that. Is it? Let me see if I'll find it here. I think I took that off the screen. Okay, let me just double check. Let's see. Yes, July, I think it's okay, July 22nd, 2025. The changes apply to all Form 765 applications for these categories, July 22nd, 2025, and then December 5th, 2025. I gave the two categories. So please just, we have them on our social media. We've talked about them. I don't want to bore you with repeating all these categories again. All right, guys. Let's see if there's any other question. How long does it take to receipt and to get a receipt from USCIS? USCIS receipt notices. It can take a while. It depends on the category, and we can look at the how long the filing, how long, they're just really reeling from a lot of backlog. Once you send your application to USCIS, it goes into a mail room, and the mail room is called a front log. Okay, the front log, USCIS released data middle of the year, and they had about 34,000 cases pending in the front log, highest this year. I think it was as of March 2025, and these are cases that they hadn't even opened. They've received all those cases. They haven't even opened all those 34,000 cases. By now, it's just a mountain of cases they've received, and they are just trying to open all of them. Once they open, they scan, then they issue a receipt notice, then it goes to adjudication. So sometimes they haven't even opened the document. So it can take several weeks. And around this time, Thanksgiving, Christmas, snow, the inclement weather, it can really delay several weeks before you can get your receipt notice. Please, guys, you need our help with any U.S. immigration matter. You have questions, contact AK Poku Law. Make sure you're you're following AK Poku Law across all social media platforms, and feel free to contact us if you need our assistance. You can Google AK Poku Law. You can call, you can text, you can WhatsApp 802-780-0564. We represent immigrants or clients in all 50 states in the United States and around the world. If you call, you don't get a hold of us, text us, call us again, please. It's, we're just trying to plug through and assist as many people as we can. So be patient with us and make sure you get a hold of us. Don't rush and go land in the hands of a wrong person. We're seeing a lot of notarios doing a lot of bad work, putting people in trouble. People who are not licensed attorneys shouldn't be doing this work. They are doing it. Sometimes they get through, but other times they don't get through, and they put people in trouble. All right, guys. Thank you again for joining us in this live video session. I wish you a great rest of your weekend. Yes, last week we couldn't make it because it was Thanksgiving, Black Friday. I don't think, people were not looking to come and do this live show on a Black Friday. We also wanted to rest a little bit. So thank you for your continued patience and acceptance of us. Please don't forget to hit that follow button. I'll see you guys soon in our next live session. And while you're on social media, you see our posts, interact with them, give a thumbs up, give a comment, and so that share our posts so that we can be encouraged to do more. This live video session, don't forget to share with your family and friends. There are people hiding in their rooms. They don't know who to turn to or where to go. You share it, they're going to see it and say, oh, let me call and let me get help that I need. All right, guys, thank you again. Take care. Have a great weekend. Bye.